This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18
in association with Lombard, where real power rests.
Thanks very much. That's right. UP sugar mills are in dire straits. The industry claims the cost of production has made business unviable. For the year 2012-13, the UP sugar industry saw losses to the tune of a whopping 3,000 crore rupees, and they say the situation is only going to get worse if the government doesn't intervene immediately. With the cost of production surging, industry wants the government to adopt the Rangarajan Committee's recommendations of revenue sharing, or they fear that business will collapse. To discuss the crisis, joining us in the studio, Kushagra Bajaj of Bajaj Hindustan, Vivek Saraogi of Balrampur Chini, and Abhinash Verma, the DG of ISMA. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us. Let me start by asking you, how bad are things in UP at this point in time? Have you told the government that if you do not intervene by way of a subsidy or the adoption of the Rangarajan Committee report on revenue sharing, there can be no crushing this season?
Thank you for having us over. See, basically we've highlighted the point that UP cannot remain producing at a certain cost which is thrust upon them based on a cane price which is assumed by the UP government.
Yeah.
So right now that's 36. Maharashtra, Karnataka produce at 30. So, the ability to now begin crushing is very difficult, not for it's not in our hands. Banks have said we will not renew limits. So where is the money? So until either of the two things which you said is, if they want the farmer to get a price,
which is 280,
if that's 280,
yeah,
and the ability of the mill is to pay 230, 240 depending on Rangarajan, the difference has to be met by someone. And who's that? It's the government, because they are deciding that price.
So Kushagra, no crushing this season unless the government intervenes. That is the sense that we're getting from Balrampur Chini.
I think the entire industry is united on this. We've written to the government that it's impossible to start. Banks have written to us, whether State Bank, Punjab National Bank, Allahabad Bank, that until the Rangarajan Committee is implemented in toto, because it was done in partial decontrol by the centre in April, until it's done in toto, we're not going to...
Well, what is the feedback from the government? Because I know you've had a slew of meetings with the state government. What is the state government saying at this point in time? If you've given them examples of Karnataka, you've given them examples of Maharashtra, either the state government says, we're willing to accept the Rangarajan Committee report, or they say, no, we can't go ahead with it. What are they saying?
This is a crisis which is not new to the sugar industry in the world. The same thing happened in entire Brazil in 1998, because it was crazy cane pricing there, and then the whole industry went belly up, and then they did the Consecana formula in 1998, and since then, there's been a boom in the industry. So I think the government understands it, whether it's the political establishment across all political parties, and very much the bureaucracy. Now it's a call, how things are going to pan out.
Are you hopeful of a breakthrough? Because I don't get that sense from either of you at this point in time. Are you hopeful of a breakthrough?
I think I am cautiously optimistic. Let's put it that way.
You're cautiously optimistic. Abhishek, let me ask you, Abhinash, sorry. Mounting losses, 3,000 crore rupees as far as 11-12 is concerned. It's only going to get worse if we don't actually see any sort of a breakthrough in this situation. So, is it right to say that the UP sugar business is on the verge of collapse? It's on the brink of extinction. Those were the words that you used, I'm not using. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Unless and until the state government comes into the picture and links the sugarcane price to the sugar price realization, I don't see the UP sugar industry surviving for very long. But this kind of pricing, which today if you talk about 280 rupees are the current sugar prices, the UP sugar mills will be paying about 93 or 94% of the sugar price realization only on account of cane price. So where is the money to pay to the banks? Where is the money for maintenance or the input costs or the administrative fees, etc.? So if this continues, I don't see the UP sugar industry surviving, and if that happens, then all the political game and all will really come to a sad end.
Are you hopeful? We're talking about a very sensitive political constituency, which is the farming constituency. We're headed into a general election. Before that, we're headed into assembly elections as well. Kushagra is saying he's cautiously optimistic. In this political environment, would you be cautiously optimistic?
See, I would be cautiously optimistic. Definitely.
And how much does it work out by way of a subsidy if the government were to intervene? I would imagine about 3,000 odd crore rupees is what we're looking at.
Yeah, around
280 minus 240.
Yeah,
40 into 80, 3,200. See, let's understand what's happening. This industry is a converter. If cane was sold to the consumer, we'd have no role. So as a converter, and as Avinash pointed out, you cannot thrust upon a price where I'm left out in the open. So we're just asking for recovering conversion cost, and Rangarajan has assigned the lowest conversion cost in the world to India, and so to UP. So we're not grudging that. We are saying, okay, if that's a formula, he's gone down the country, it's the highest.
You accept that?
We accept that.
Yeah.
So we want that implemented. And you cannot have half the country not implemented and half the country implemented. So 50% of the consumption is implemented. I'd be very happy if everywhere this were the cane price. Let's take the reverse. If everybody had a cost of production of this level, we
wouldn't be having this conversation.
We wouldn't be having the conversation, and I challenge that UP's efficiency is way above the rest. We prove it. Balrampur, Bajaj, we have good factories, integrated, good. So it's not that owing to us or owing to our efficiency is why we are losing or why we are in this situation or having this conversation.
Yeah. You know, you don't have a debt problem as much as they have a debt problem. Kushagra, I want to address that issue with you because as far as Q1 FY13, year-on-year net loss widened to 157 crore rupees from 76 crore rupees. Your finance cost is up 4 times. What do you do if this situation doesn't change?
None of us are going to start next year. We are the largest producer, so our delta on the negative side is the highest as well as on the positive side. In the last 5 years it's been, negative all the way. So this is not a sustainable model. They need to correct it. This has huge political ramifications within UP but pan-India because UP produces almost 1/3 of India's sugar. So if the industry shuts down, you're going to have no sugar in India next year, meaning all the reserves will be eaten in India.
Which the state government cannot afford and the central government cannot afford either. Yeah.
Because
so what is the conversation with the center leading to?
No, I don't
because
think
they have very little that they can actually do as far as the state is concerned.
As far as center is concerned, whatever they needed to do,
they've done.
They've done. Decontrol, import duty increase, ethanol, the rural REC scheme, everything. So I don't think there's anything at the central level that is required in a major way. I think the only thing which is bothering the industry in UP is the cane pricing issue. It's nothing else. Everything else is really decontrolled for the industry. But this is a serious problem. And I think sense will prevail eventually. And it's going to happen at the last minute. Nothing is going to happen now.
What do you mean? Give us a timeline when you say last minute. What is the
hope? So normally mills start in post-Diwali.
Yeah.
That's been the routine.
Yeah.
Diwali is in the first week of November. After that,
if no breakthrough up until then, there's going to be...
I don't expect any breakthrough, let's put it this way, until then. I think
then we're going to make you sweat.
I think we're already sweating.
Some more.
I don't think there's any sweat left to sweat.
I think we're sweating from the eye. It's 40 years.
But I think it's the best time for the industry from one way because this is a highly political industry, just like power is.
Yeah.
And the 2003 Electricity Act came up when everything got, everybody became bankrupt. So this is the same kind of situation. And the industry is completely united. All the sugar mills in UP have unanimously written that we aren't starting mills, have written that we need this thing implemented. Banks have supported us, shareholders have supported us, things like that. So I think, if you want something which has been pending for 100 years in the industry and you want to change, you need to go through the pain. And I think that's what we're going through right now. And I think so far the government has been pretty accommodative.
So none of you have actually placed your reservation orders?
Not a single sugar mill.
And it's not backed by volition. It's backed by
the fact that you don't have the capacity to be able to...
Banks have written to us.
Not companies like Bajaj and Balrampur, which in 100 years they've never written.
We are going to renew our limit because in UP the cane pricing is not rational. And we cannot loan you money and then NP is already a big issue with all the banks. And put ourselves down the tube with you. So if we don't have money and we don't have cash credit limit following, how do we ask for cane? So we want to put it up front that we have no ability, so we can't ask for cane.
Right. So
that's the position.
You were talking about banks and how banks are writing to all companies, including yours and Bajaj Hindustan. What happens now if there is no breakthrough as far as this position is concerned? What happens then to balance sheets for both companies because you're listed players?
See, we are saying that this is the position. If the government does not intervene, does not put in a subsidy based on the fact that they want 280. And I don't think 280 is such an emotive issue. Let's understand a couple of other things. Every state government, the Mayawati government, Mulayam Singh Ji government before that, or any government, or the Rajnath Ji government, anybody raised cane prices at their highest level on the 5th year. This is the election.
Yeah.
History has told us all of them have lost.
So you're saying they might learn from the past, is your
I'm
hope.
just making out a point that cane price is not something which makes you win or lose elections. It's a misnomer. So in understanding what we were talking about through the question, the understanding, I think, of these facts with the government in our various meetings have been made clear. That the understanding is, A, that cane price doesn't win you elections if it's followed with a big area ticket package. Two, the whole country is going to election. And three, the ability of the mills to pay and the entire financing community of the industry is up in arms, and we will not get funded. So realization of all these three facts, which will also depoliticize us a little if they genuinely understand it. All the understanding has gone down. That's what I feel.
Let me add there. See, I believe now the situation with Uttar Pradesh is that the politics is no longer on the sugar cane pricing issue.
Okay.
The politics will be to ensure that the farmers find a buyer for the sugar cane next year. Because if the farmers don't find a buyer and the sugar mills don't run,
which clearly seems to be the case.
Yeah, even half the sugar mills in the state don't run, and the farmers don't find a buyer, and where is the politics then?
Come November, if we still don't have a breakthrough, what are you going to do? What are you going to tell the banks?
There's nothing for us to say.
Until there is rationalization, we can't run. So if you can't
Has that ultimatum in so many words been placed on the doorsteps of the government that if you do not intervene, it's the end of the story, we will not
It's been given in writing 2 months ago.
So I just reword it. It's not an ultimatum. It's a cry for help. See, it's not a threat. It's not a negotiation card we are throwing on the table as large players seeming to be, greatly united. It's a cry for help. It's a prayer for survival. So it's, otherwise you had so many ups and downs in the past. Never has anybody been able to unite or, come together. Only simply for the reason that you're coming to raw material cost on your sugar price. Now you have a huge conversion cost. You're out in the open. So when you're so badly hit, you don't fight, you cry, you pray. So we are linked to farmers also.
So what is if I would ask you, you're asking for 280, you're saying 230, 240. If they would ask you to extend yourselves, how much more can you possibly extend yourself? Or is that the limit?
I don't think we have anything in our hands now. It's all up to the banks. And there's no arbitrariness left now. It's either Rangarajan or 280. And nobody can, suppose they say, okay, you do 255, say hypothetically. What is the basis? And in today's kind of economic,
why not 256?
And today's kind of, activism, so to say, who is going to decide how that arbitrary price comes to? So you have a formula on one hand, which has been agreed on a pan-India basis. You have to go with that, and that's what the banks want. And after that, the cyclicality in the business will remain because it's a commodity business. That's fine to live with. So we're not saying the cyclicality will go away. We're happy to live with the cyclicality, but we only want to eliminate the arbitrariness.
Okay. And if finished product prices to move up, we don't have an issue. We are deadly for the farmer. See, we don't have steel plants. I cannot import scrap. I have to run my mill based on the cane around each mill 40-kilometer radius. So I am as dependent on them as anyone can be on a raw material supplier. So
and in your case, for instance, raw material costs have gone up almost 3 times.
I mean, all UP. So our idea is to take them with us. So we've been even briefing them. There's another ray of hope which the central government can look into. The central government gets into the picture and ensures that
but what can the central government
sugar is exported. That is a surplus. That's why prices are down. So if sugar prices can be moved up to export, and again it requires intervention today. So a combination probably.
You really think that that's going to be something that is going to happen with, and that's not a permanent solution either. That's not a permanent solution either.
I'm saying, when the prices get linked and the price moves up, you have a solution.
So let me ask you this, because we were talking about other state governments who've been able to implement the Rangarajan Committee formula and recommendations. What has the experience been there, and perhaps what are the lessons that UP can learn from those experiences? Because we've actually seen state governments go that route.
Yeah. See, first of all, Karnataka government has already brought an act in the month of May 2013, and they have said that from the sugar season starting in October, the sugar cane prices will be linked to the sugar price realization. Only thing, the question is the number today, 75% or 72% or 76%, that has to be determined. Secondly, we made, as an ISMA, we made a presentation to the Maharashtra government, and we were very happy that about 12 cabinet
They worked in some flexibility in Maharashtra as well.
They already have some kind of a revenue sharing model today. Because they pay a first installment and then they come back with a second installment depending on the balance sheet at the end of the season. So it has to be only rationalized and brought down in a legal framework. That is why if these two states, we believe, are going to come up with the formula, about 50% of the country's production will have a rational sugarcane pricing policy. And therefore that is the whole question, that UP government cannot be left out of the system. You can't have a small section of the country having an irrational pricing policy.
But it's been several months, and I come back to my question. It's been several months since the Rangarajan committee presented its report, then the centre acted on the Rangarajan committee's report, and we're still at absolute loggerheads as far as the UP situation is concerned, which is the point that I'm struggling to understand why we're still having this conversation, which has been, on an issue which has been pending now as far as the state government is concerned for several months already, and other governments have already acted accordingly.
Talking about the 240 and 280, that bridge of about 40-50 rupees, you're not asking for some unreasonable kind of subsidy. Number one, it can come about by increasing the difference between the rejected cane varieties and normal cane varieties. You have to discourage the farmers and remove the rejected varieties from the system totally from next year. So if you increase that, there will be a small reduction in the gap. Secondly, the UP government gives about 400 crores every year to the cooperative sugar mills to pay to the farmers as loan. Now, you can't have a situation that you love the farmers attached to the cooperative sugar factories and hate the farmers attached to the private sugar factories.
So you're saying a level playing field has to be created.
So what we have suggested, use that, leverage that 400 crores and help us get some loan from the banks. Everybody gets loan, and cooperative also, and you pay the interest burden. So this is the way to actually, the transport subsidy, if we carry the sugar cane from the purchase centers, we have to bear half of that transport burden. So increase that difference, increase that transport rebate. So this is how you can actually bridge that.
These are small reforms. The ultimate panacea or
is Rangarajan and revenue
lower the burden.
So that 40 rupees difference can be made down to say 30 or 25, and then 25 we have to still tackle. So the major problem still is the revenue sharing model. So that we still have to address.
If there's a will, there's a way kind of.
Your message to shareholders, because obviously there is going to be panic to listen to all of you guys say that we're virtually on the verge of bankruptcy and extinction as far as UP is concerned. What would you tell shareholders at this point in time, since you clearly don't have any visibility on what the outcome of this problem is going to be?
I can only say after the darkest hour of the night, what follows is dawn. So,
so live in hope.
Yeah, I'm sure about it. As Kushagra said, cautiously optimistic. That's not what we are, wishful thinking. It has to happen, and once this happens, all your problems get addressed once for all. See, just see Karnataka again. In May, the outgoing government, the BJP government moved the act. The Congress came and passed it. So, we've heard of governments who put in a policy, and new government comes and scraps it. You have a farmer issue, BJP puts in the act, Congress passes it. I'm just telling you, there are still rationalities.
So logically, BJP and Congress will pass it in Maharashtra and Karnataka. What is the basis, even in a general election here, that's happening even in Maharashtra and Karnataka, they will oppose it here. Unless you want to shut it down. That's a different matter. Then there's no argument.
Until you say UP is for politics and the rest of the country is for economics.
Well, that doesn't sound like a logical argument, but one doesn't really know. Yes, Kushagra.
So that's what I say. So that's why I'm saying I'm cautiously optimistic, because some political parties have already gone ahead and done it, in other states. So the resistance to change in UP, although it's still there, it's not going to be as severe as what it was, because we already have a precedence.
Absolutely. Is the farmer buying your argument?
Yes, he is. Yes.
He is?
The farmer has come to know now that this unreal situation can't last. And he is very much in sync with the issue. The understanding with him also is complete. I'm saying the farmer, the genuine farmer. The one who actually cuts the cane and brings it from the field.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His understanding is clear.
See, the logic applied is the same. Do you want, say in electricity, what they say, do you want high electricity, price of electricity, or no electricity?
Yeah.
So similarly, do you want to get paid fully, or just get paid on paper a higher price which never gets paid?
Yeah.
Or you don't want your sugar mill to start at all. So there are a small fraction where you say, I want 400 rupees or 350 rupees even today.
Yeah.
But we can't eliminate that out of 3-4 crore farmers that are there. Some of them are always going to take that political stand.
Sure.
But majority of the people will say, I want 240 and I want it today rather than, payable when able.
Do you know 1/3 of UP's cane gets to something called Booting, and they pay on cash basis, and they pay the rates which are 50 rupees lower than sugar mills, and farmer queues up there.
Yeah, Western UP is particularly
When he wants cash, he queues up.
So let's hope that there is a resolution, there is a breakthrough. Otherwise, you're saying that things could be extremely precarious as far as the sugar business in UP is concerned. Yes. And if there isn't a solution, then banks will not allow you, and your own financials will not allow you to actually go through with the crushing season.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I think it's too political and too big an industry that no resolution will be found. I look at it that way. It's not like, one hotel shuts down, nothing happens, or one TV channel shuts down.
Or airline shuts down. Yeah.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay, all right. So let's hope that a resolution is found. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us today. Kushagra, Avinash, appreciate you joining us. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this special discussion here on the state of UP sugar industry. Hopefully there will be a breakthrough and a resolution. The situation is looking dire at this point in time. From all of us here, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.